4.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, oh Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama,
From the ethereal realm of devotion to the practicality of daily spiritual practice, across the vast landscape of Vedic wisdom and teachings, this is Vaishnava Voices. Hosted by the dynamic husband and wife duo, Sitapati Das and Dana Devi, they bring to you an intimate exploration of the vibrant world of Vaishnavism. Interweaving ancient scriptures with modern contexts, personal stories with universal lessons, they illuminate the path of love, devotion, and conscious living.
Hare Krishna, and welcome everyone to another episode of Vaishnava Voices. I'm your co-host, Sitapati Das, and beside me, as always, is the wonderful Dana Devi. Today, as with every episode, we're diving deep into the heart of Vaishnava teachings, exploring the wisdom, culture, and practices that guide us towards a life filled with devotion and service.
That's right, Siddharthi. We are thrilled to have you on this journey with us. Whether you are a seasoned devotee, a spiritual seeker, or simply curious about Vaishnavism, here in Vaishnava Voices, we are all about fostering connection, understanding, and growth. And remember, we are not just exploring, we are also experiencing. So let's begin.
So sit back, prepare your hearts and minds, and tune into the sounds of the soul on Vaishnava Voices.
Param Vijayata Shri Krishna Sankirtanam. Total world victory of Hare Krishna, actually. Can we get that Hare Krishna banner in the shot? Because I took it out before. Welcome to this episode of Vaishnava Voices podcast. I'm your host. My name is Siddharthi Das.
And my name is Dana Devi.
And here comes the Hare Krishna Mahamantra banner, courtesy of Atmananda Prabhu, and it was made by Dr. Jordan up in Whangarei, Northland, which is where we're going for Janmashtami.
Yes.
Jai, thank you. Okay, I guess that's better than nada, but yeah, whatever.
It's fine.
It's fine.
It's fine.
We'll fix it later.
Mhm.
For the next one. Today we are talking with Radha Krishna Prabhu.
Yes.
It was going to be yesterday, but there's a mix up with the times, the dates, and so it's today. Thanks to our one viewer who is watching live right now, and to the millions of viewers in the archive, many of you not even born yet as we record this. Yeah, someone's watching it on my profile. Feel free to drop us a comment, a like, a shout out, tag a friend, share it, all that kind of good stuff. Let's not waste any more time because we are now 7 minutes and 10 seconds into the episode. Let's bring on Radha Krishna Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hi. Hello. Haribol. Hare Krishna.
Hare
Hare
Bol.
Krishna.
Let's go for this view here. That
All
one.
glories to
This one.
Prabhupada.
Jai, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Good morning.
Yes, Hare Krishna. The sun is shining here in Wales.
Mm.
Oh, you're in Wales.
Yes, Wales, South Wales, where
Okay.
New South Wales came from, I believe.
Yes. Yep, the original. You're from the old South Wales, the old school. Prabhu, we wanted to talk more about Vedic agriculture. It's a thing. It's the future of the planet. As the world gets deindustrialized, which is what's happening whether we like it or not, whether we're planning for it or not, deindustrialization is taking place. And so we're going to go back to the old ways.
Mm.
So we wanted to talk with
Indeed.
you today about grassland management was the thing we came up with. It's kind of top of my mind anyway. It's been winter here. We've had the cows out on the land, and I'm just looking at the way that they're. Couple of things. As you said, you got to collect that cow stool up off the ground because I see what it does. It sits there and it takes a long time to compost, just sitting there cold composting, and it kills the grass underneath it, and it gives rise to kind of different kind of
Worms.
fungi and worms, and it's great and it's rich and everything, but it kills the grass.
Mm.
And so the other thing that can happen that I noticed there is that other things will take root in it and it can grow dock or other things. So it's been killing the grass. So I've been going around and collecting it up, and boy, is there a lot of it. I can do like an entire wheelbarrow in like half an hour, and that's just a small part of the field every day. So that's one thing about it. And then the other thing about it is the cows during the winter, because the ground is wet, they churn it up a lot and it damages the grass. So yeah, I wanted to get your input on grassland management. And those are a couple of things that make it very top of mind for me.
Hi. Sure. That was the name. That was the name of my degree course at the Royal Berkshire College of Agriculture in 1974, just before I joined ISKCON. So it was relevant, and we need to discuss this. So grassland management, yeah. From what you said, with all your animals, you need to keep them in the winter, in the temperate zones of the country. the practice is to have goshalas where you bring the animals in over the winter. And this means they can then bed on straw, which means you're going to get the fertility required for extensive crop production. This is where it comes from. It comes from the goshala. Okay, so Howard's work was Albert Howard was knighted for his achievements in soil remediation, plant and pest diseases globally, and he devised a goshala that was in his book and is very Vedic and is what should be laid out in all goshalas, in my view, because it enables the animals to be moved from pen to pen, and you gate them off safely so that you can take off every day the dung and the straw. You see, this is how you get the fertility. And then instead of just piling up the dung, which then compost it very quickly. And we've developed our system, the HH2, which processes it into a shop saleable fertilizer in 90 days. Now, I have a lot of slides today, so we can get those set up. I think that's probably the best thing in the background. And when it's necessary, we can refer to them. Okay, so I'll try and do that now by clicking this button. And I've got to bring it into the podcast. So it is the button at the bottom here called present. Yeah.
Correct. It is. That's the one, Prabhu.
Slides. Here we are. I just hope I can get the one I've just prepared, because what it's showing is another presentation. Here we are. No. So I've got the slides on my screen at the top, but when I push present, that particular slideshow doesn't come up. Another one's coming up. Another one's coming up.
The Story of the Good Gardeners. This is the one that's coming up.
No, that's not the one I was going to use today.
Okay. So it needs to be uploaded to your Google Slides account.
Right. So if I go back and I've got the program here, if I upload it through File, Import Slides, no? Or download, make a download first.
Which program are you looking at?
This is PowerPoint. I do this in PowerPoint.
Okay.
And
So
last
do you
time
know
we
where
uploaded...
Yeah. So if you know where they are, they must be saved somewhere on your computer, I imagine, no? For your PowerPoint?
Yeah, they're in PowerPoint.
Okay. Do you know where they are saved on the computer's hard drive? Like, are they saved in a particular folder?
No, it's just, they're all in PowerPoint.
Okay. If you go into PowerPoint and then choose it and then say File, Export, or Save As, File Save As might be the one for you to locate where it is.
Save As. I've opened the file here. It says it's opening a file. I'm surprised this is live, actually. I thought there might be time for some editing because we're going to have a bit of problem with the access to these slides, I think.
Sure. What about if you email the slides to me and I can show them from here? It could be easy.
Oh, but then you wouldn't know which ones to pull up at the right time.
Oh, no, you can control it from where you are.
Ah, oh, right. So if I email this slideshow to you,
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay.
I'll send you my email address in the private chat here.
I've got that, I think. Yeah. I should have that.
And then I can grab these slides and
I don't think I have got your email. It's not coming up.
yeah, it's in the private chat on the side, Prabhu, if you have a look over there.
It's not the latest entry. I've got the link for today, and then it says StreamYard. It doesn't say your email.
Yeah, let me send it to you there. So that's the Facebook chat. Here you go, Prabhu.
All right.
Anybody else?
I've got to
Nope.
just send them as a download first.
Oh, no.
You love to do that, don't you?
Oh, no.
Do I send this as a PDF?
No, if you could send it as a PowerPoint, Prabhu, that would be best.
Because it doesn't give that option in downloads to send as a PowerPoint.
What does it have in there?
Well, just, I've got to make it a download, haven't I? Before I send it.
No, no.
Okay, I'm in my files tab.
Okay.
It doesn't say export. So I
So
can't see.
the PowerPoint presentation itself is a file on the file system of the computer somewhere. So let me just ask ChatGPT. That's the easiest way to do this. It's a Chromebook that you're using, Prabhu?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to do this live. Present. Share screen. Check this out, Prabhu. This is an artificial intelligence. Here. Share. Watch this. Okay, so if I say, my friend, have you seen ChatGPT before, Prabhu?
Say again?
Have you seen ChatGPT?
No.
Okay, watch this. So I'm going to ask my friend Radha Krishna Das has a Chromebook, and he has a PowerPoint presentation on there, and he wants to email it to me. How does he find it and send it? He can open it in PowerPoint. Okay, and then I just send that off and let's see what it says. Make it bigger.
But last time we got that other presentation, which is showing on the screen. We should do the same as
Yeah.
that, because I need to be able to show this to other people as well.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how we did it last time with that blue screen. The story of the good God is that is how we should present these slideshows.
Are you using Office 365 online, Prabhu?
No.
No?
We did it last time. We got that PowerPoint onto the screen.
Yeah.
So this one
We
should
did.
be the same procedure.
Yeah. if it is, then the other way we could do this, Prue, is you could. Oh no, you can't share your whole screen from the Chromebook. I mean, if I was sitting in front of your computer, I could do it within seconds. If I could see the screen. Oh, okay.
We can
Listen
do a
to this.
share screen, can't we?
ChatGPT says this: if he's unsure where the file is, click on the launcher, the circle icon on the bottom left corner, or press the search key on the keyboard. Open the Files app, and then browse through My Files.
Yeah, I can do that.
Yeah, if you open the Files app.
All right, now it's come up slide collection. Yeah, this is it. But can't I get it onto my computer so it's on the PowerPoint from my end?
Anything's possible, Prabhu. Absolutely anything.
So that's come up. I can click it. I just need to get it onto the computer on my end
Google Slides.
on this podcast.
Yeah. Probably the easiest thing to do is
it share?
No.
It's not share.
You have the file there, Prabhu?
Yeah, it's right
see the
here in
file?
front of me.
Yeah. You should email it to me.
Okay.
That's the easiest way for now.
Okay, let's do that. Right, here we are.
Be sure.
Computers are a bit slow here. It's kind of semi-highlighted, so it's loading itself. It takes a long time. The internet's very slow here.
Okay.
Oh, no.
No problem.
I don't know how long that'll take. Yeah. I don't know how long this is going to take. Slides.
How's it looking now, Prabhu? Still uploading?
Let's have a look. Yeah, you see, it's not highlighting properly, so it's taking a long time to upload all those slides. We should have done this in advance, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not happening. It's going to take a long time.
Oh, that's okay. Just let it do its thing in the background, Prabhu, and we can just keep talking while it's going.
I mean, the thing is, last time we got the whole presentation to come straight up on the screen.
We did, and it's
the
this
blue
one
one
here.
is there with one click.
Yeah.
The whole thing is there. And it's on my screen now, and it's how to get it onto your podcast.
How did you get this one on?
I don't know. We did it together last time.
Oh, no. You don't remember? ¿No recuerdas?
No, I mean, I'm doing everything I did last time. Solve drainage problems.
Mayapur. Vanshisha.
Oh, yeah.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Haribol Gornatai just attended Boga Arti in Maipur. Blissful. Thanks for tuning in.
Hmm.
No digging or plowing. So the digging and the plowing disrupts the mycelium network.
Well, seeing we're live, we might as well use this one. I mean, it's on the thing. We've got it working, so we can try this.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. It's not the one that was
Where do you want to start
intended
from?
for today, but I'll have to go back to the
Yeah.
beginning of it. This is about the beginning. It doesn't really say where the beginning is.
Well, that's slide 14. The beginning is here, slide 1.
All right. So this should be the number 1. Okay. So we'll do this one today. This is not about
Let's do
grassland
it.
management. This is about
That's okay.
composting. Okay. We'll have to work on that for next time. So the problems facing food security for all of us are soil erosion, pests and disease, total nutrient loss from waste streams. Now, this is what's going on in the UK today. All the waste streams are ending up in the rivers and the sea of the UK. You cannot swim in the rivers. You cannot go in the sea for fear of disease. This is what's going on in the UK because they don't know how to harness these waste streams. I write all the time on Twitter to government officials, river campaigners, farmers, agricultural institutions. None of them seems to understand this at all, and they very seldom write back to me. So we're out on a limb with this kind of management. I don't know what it's like in your country or other countries, but certainly
Same
here
story
it's
here,
a
Prabhu.
disaster.
You know,
So,
we have
yeah.
an app. We have an app that you look at or a website to see whether you can swim at beaches. So we're in the same thing.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the whole world's lost it. This is how far we are from bringing our technology into the real world. It's like we're in a bubble. We're in a bubble, right? And we've got our technology and it's great for us. But what about everybody else? The world's dying around us, right? As we look, you know, it's a complete disaster. So people ask me, they say, well, what's the solution? I say, the only solution is that you do it yourself. Because these big guys don't want to take advice. Actually, someone told me yesterday who picked up the system and took it to export. We exported an HH2 into the EU. And they said, well, what's happened is that big institutions won't take small institutions' advice. They only listen to it if you've got millions of pounds and you're a massive institution like that. Then they'll take notice of you. Well, that's a shame because they're missing out. And they end up with soil like this. This is the soil you get if you send all your waste streams into the rivers and seas. Right. So number 2, let's go to slide 2. You should not be able to stack soil up like that. That is clay soil being brought to the surface by ploughing. And it's full of stones. You can see it's full of stones. So you've brought up the shale
It's a
layer.
rock formation.
Yeah.
It's a rock formation.
They're bypassing agriculture and going back to rock formation. In fact, I told the Rothamsted Research Institute, right? It's the oldest research station in the world, that you're creating concrete. I'm creating soil. And one guy got up and walked out. There was 4 of them there in the meeting with the director of Rothamsted. And he said, I'm not having that. I said, oh, 1 down, 4 to go. 3 or 4 left. So this is what's going on. They've got no idea about what we're doing. So what's needed is a wholly organic soil conditioner fertilizer that stops pests and disease at the same time without digging or ploughing. This is the Vedic system because the Vedic plough never turned the soil over, right? That is a misconception that ISKCON has had from day one in the West, that we think the plowing of the Vedas meant turning the soil over. It didn't. They never turned the soil over. Shaka Mataji showed me her photograph of a plowman in India. And she said, yes, he's going through the soil with a parabolic ripper, as Abhiram Prabhu named it. Right, it's a scratch plow, just to break the surface. You plant seeds. It's not a moldboard plow. Okay, so that's
the kind of thing
we have
that
to clear up
Balaram
with
has,
ISKCON.
isn't it?
Huh?
It looks like a pickaxe. It's the thing
Yeah.
that Balaram has. It looks like a pickaxe.
That's right. He's holding the parabolic ripper plow. He is not holding a moldboard plow. And ISKCON has taken that from day one and misunderstood that. That's been the mistake. And that's why people say it's so hard to do farming. It's so hard to stay on a farm, because of the results of that. Indeed, we've had woofers leave England saying, oh, I can't handle the weeds. The weeds, all we're doing is weeding 3 feet high. You see, this is what happens, because when you spread and cut through the weeds that are already there, perennial weeds, it just spreads them more. It cuts the roots and spreads them further. So, besides the fact that the saying goes, if you let a plant seed, 1 year seeded, 7 years weeding, that's how much problem you've got, right? And if you don't compost your animal manure, all the weeds those animals have eaten pass in their stool those same seeds, and that's how they proliferate all over the field. You see, so it is about grassland management.
We have dock on our field.
Related, huh?
We have dock on our field, Prabhu.
Oh yeah, you want to be
It's
careful.
gotten on there.
Don't let it seed.
Yep.
Go around and just cut them off, and
Okay.
then they won't seed. You see, and if you don't plow, you won't spread them. Right? You can control them, so that's fine. But it's about management from day one. Okay, now the grassland that we've discovered, which I was going to show you in this farm where we are in South Wales, has no weeds at all. Bad weeds. It has patches of bramble and bracken, but that's fine. They're in patches in certain areas where they like to grow. But we're harvesting that as a fertilizer and making it into a fertilizer. That's fine. But we're not covered in dockweed and ragwort and poisonous other weeds, at all. It's an exceptionally good farm. So now, number 3, yes, the system was practiced by the ancient Chinese 4,000 years ago. There's one of the original books I found in the library, and I got hold of this. They sell them off or whatever after years and years and years. This is the book that actually we got our science from. This is the very copy, and it hadn't been taken out of the library for 30 years, so it's just a dead duck,
Very well.
That looks like the waste. Is that the waste products of agriculture?
Yeah, that was the name of the book originally, and I released it in India as this title, as the same title here, looking like this. Right, and now we've updated the next printing. It's this green one. Here we are. Well, this was another printing, and we wrote an article on the right to the Soil Association, right, who I had to write to 4 times to get them to print this article. And it's a 1-pager about Goshala management or cowshed management. It's such a simple thing, but no one is doing it. You see, no one is doing it in ISKCON or in the wider world. It's because this is a lost science. What they do in the West is what they do in the East now, because India thinks some things the West do is very good. And in this regard, they pile up the straw and the bedding under the animals up to 2-3 feet deep. I've seen this many times, and it's called the Lincoln system. Oddly enough, this weekend we're going to Lincoln to the new farm, and it's called the Vedanta Center. Very exciting. We've arranged to have a farm visit, a tour of the farm. So this is very nice because this is the purpose. One of the main purposes going there. The other is to Prabhupada Disciple Reunion, part 2 of the 50th anniversary of Bhaktivedanta Manna. So this article describes how you do this, and they eventually printed it, right? I don't know why it took them four letters to convince them to print it, but they did, and it just says the system how we do it. The basic thing is the cows are bedded on earth, right? You put the cows on earth, whatever your goshala is. We talked about this last time, actually, because we got to Hungary, and on New Vrajadam, they were putting up a new goshala, right? Digging out the soil they were going to put in concrete. And I said, well, don't throw that away because that's saltpeter, which they make fireworks from in China, oddly enough. So that's how fertilizer can become explosive. So the point is, whether you got concrete or earth, don't take it, don't throw it away. Put on top of the concrete earth, right? Because it absorbs the urine and it's warmer for the cows. The cows are much happier if they're bedded on earth. If you can see that picture there, you see that's earth under the straw there in Mayapur, right? That's happy cows. So every day you take off the manure, you take off the dung, and the wet straw, and you scrape out the wet patches from the earth, and that all goes to your compost, right? As in this picture above, that's exactly what Howard was doing 100 years ago. So,
And there's a goshala that has no roof on it. It's open to the air.
well, no, that's not the goshala. That's the compost heaps.
I see.
Right. They've taken it from the goshala. And of course, there's a lot of other pictures, which if I had this slide review I've made, I could flick to the right picture instantly. So we'll have to perfect that for the next time. But there you go. So he's making it. We have turned this open air system not only into a goshala waste management system, but a temple waste food management system. Now, in the UK, we pay a lot of money to the government to take the food waste away. It mounts up, right? I don't know about New Zealand. I'm sure other countries do the same thing. The council charge you and take away your food waste and put it into a biodigester, which does not make anything like a similar fertilizer to what we're making with our HH2, which is down here. Now, the HH2 is a development of the New Zealand compost box, which we were talking about the other day. Apparently it was developed in New Zealand. Well, this is the first update in 100 years of that system. And what it does, rather than an open air system, it contains the moisture, regulates the air, and gets the right heat curve in temperature in the first 2 weeks. Now, that's critical to producing the right fungi and bacteria, right? So here at this slide says that. Because if you have this, you can digest all that food waste. You can put in half a dustbin a day of food waste, liquid, chopped food, cooked food, uncooked food, and it's all gone in 14 days. You can't find it in 14 days.
Yeah.
Right?
Incredible.
It's
Yeah,
short
incredible.
term. Yeah.
So that is how you get rid of this in a Vedic way. And the dung, of course, is added with the straw. So you take it off daily and you have enough boxes to accommodate your goshala members, your animals. However many animals you've got, you need to have enough boxes to cater for them. So if you've got a lot of animals, you need more than one pair of boxes. But you deal with the manure day by day by day, and it never builds up. because if you pile up manure, as you may have seen, it kills neighboring plants. It runs into streams. We've seen this time and time again. It runs off into rivers and streams, and it's wasted. It's so toxic that it kills plants. In Mayapur, it was flowing out of the Goshala, a great lake of it. And me and Kavi Chandraswamy were standing there looking at this lake, and on the other side of the lake, a calf fell into the lake. And we saw it, and it disappeared under the surface. We thought, well, it's so far around there, we're never going to get round. What's going to happen? And just then, the calf popped its head up again, and it scrambled out. So this lake of liquid manure was not too deep for it to get out. So it somehow saved itself, but we thought it had drowned, you know. So storing the manure in a liquid form is not the Vedic way. It's definitely not the Vedic way. It's a Western concept that's come in Kali Yuga later than the Vedic way. Right, let's go to the next slide. So the box system means you process it every day and you get an optimum fertilizer. There you go. This is a bit of a historical slideshow. Oxfam saw our operation at the Haiti earthquake event in 2010, and they sent that lady on the right is an advisor to Oxfam. They sent her to do a course at our farm. So that was nice because they'd never seen anything like this. Never seen anything like this. And this is what you get in the first 2 weeks. If you open your box in the first 2 weeks and see that, you know you've done it. That's without a thermometer, right? We stock a thermometer as part of our equipment. And if the heat curve is correct, you'll get this fungi, right, on about the second box that you make. And this means it goes into the soil. Say again.
So you've got to get the right mix of things that you put in there, right? There's like a particular composition.
Oh yeah, there's a recipe. There's a formula. There's
right.
a formula. See, composters today don't know this formula. And this is what's so Vedic about it, because the formula is exactly as they were doing 4,000 years ago. It's not a modern formula. You see, you can't reinvent the wheel. We use that term a lot. People who try and invent the wheel. But the guy who did invent the wheel was a very clever man. Whoever that was, right? But even cleverer than that, I say, is the man who invented a second wheel, because then you've got a bicycle. Right? Okay, that's just a joke. But certainly, wherever the wheel came from, probably Krishna's chakra, you know, the concept of a wheel. But there you are. So, you know, don't try and reinvent the wheel. It's already there. And the system is already there. And the students love it. When you open the box, you can see all this myriad of creatures, which weren't there before. And they've developed through the right facilities, the right temperature, moisture control, etc., the right food sources, and they just appear. So that's wonderful. The students love it. And we've all actually got a booking on our farm for beginning of September for 4 people to come and view the system, one from Africa and the others from England, in a view to buy it. To view to buying it. We're doing pre-demo courses, if you like, just an introduction to the system, just so they can see the volumes and quantities they need without a full course. So that's already happened, and we've only just moved on to the farm. So you get it out of the box in 14 days, right? And it's so hot. You see, it goes up to 65, 70 degrees, sometimes 65 is the optimum. And then you get it out, and then the second fungi kicks in. So we've been doing this since mid-June up there on the farm, and we've now got a whole batch ready to go into the wheelie bins, which you see in the distance there, because that's the last stage of the process. The system goes a little anaerobic. and it likes it in wheelie bins. It's very good. So that's a modern invention, you see, which they didn't do in the past, but the system does like to go anaerobic in the last stage. So wheelie bins is great because you can store it and count it, and you know exactly one wheelie bin is 250 liters, which is 4 of them make 1,000 liters, which is a ton. 4 of them make a ton of finished product. So that's how you can calculate what you've got. Now, we could get into what I was going to say today with the grassland management thing, and that is that His Holiness Bhakti Raghava Maharaj mentions on his tour of Europe at New Mayapur, he mentioned one statement, and that was only grow what you can produce, what you can eat, and only eat what you can grow. Okay. Now, in my view, this is a very advanced statement for Varnashram Dharma and farm communities. We are not there. We are not there yet. We cannot say that we are self-sufficient. Now, how can I say that? Because we're not making shoes to go on the kiddies' feet, right? We're not processing animal carcasses from our dead animals. We haven't got a tannery. We probably haven't got anyone who wants to do that, right? So we are not self-sufficient. Therefore, I think my opinion is that we should grow more food than we require and sell the surplus, you see, and cook it and make prasad and make more devotees, you see. So I think that's my argument, because it's a sort of stepping stones agriculture. We have to step gradually into this Vedic concept of Vedic lifestyle. It's not something you can jump into. That's why people haven't done it over the years, because it seems very hard to do, and it's too austere, like that. And there's no money.
There's no
and
seems to, brother.
I've
It
seen
is.
many devotees leave farm communities because of money issues. You see, so we have to have a stepping stone system whereby we can make money. And why not? Nanda Maharaj was the wealthiest king, right? How is he so well? What did he do with his wealth? He put it back into the system. But that's how you become wealthy. You say, so your family gets bigger and bigger, and you become more and more wealthy. You keep it in the system. Nothing wrong with wealth, you see. Maybe but not from a householder's point of view. From a householder's point of view, they're the ones who should make the wealth and do the management of these systems, right? So there's different opinions, there's different views of how we should manage the different varnas, but that's fair enough. It's a massive subject, and it needs continual debate. But I think this is an interesting aspect, because we discovered a system they were doing 4,000 years ago, and they were indeed selling it. Because here's a picture from this wonderful book, Farmers of 40 Centuries, right? Which we've got on our website. And this book shows this picture. It's not a very good one in this edition, but that picture there is a massive compost heap, which was placed in the street. They used to put them at the end of the street, right, where they lived. And they covered it with clay. And I thought, well, why did he do that? And okay, they didn't have all these boxes and all this technology. So they covered it with clay, probably to keep the rain off it as well. But if someone stole any, it would be broken. You could tell if someone had stolen any, right? So that was a security feature, right? Which is interesting, because today, based on that, I put on my slides that the new boxes. How do I get them back up? How do I get them back up? Can you get me back with yeah, the boxes there, the new ones, the alley ones, which are ready made, they have a security bolt in the bottom. So you put it into the bottom, it's about 8 inches, and you sink it in concrete, and then you put the screw on the top inside the box, and it's a nut on top, and that's a security device. You see, so
to
we
stop
are
someone stealing the box.
a box with the
Mhm.
compost in it, and the new boxes have a lock on the front. Right. And when the factory asked me, what are you doing? What are you making? We've made this. What does it do? I said, oh, I'm an ice cream, you know, because it looks like something you could put on the front of a bicycle. I said, yeah,
Be
but
a
one on
big
the front,
bicycle.
one on the back. And they go, really?
You're a
So,
joker.
because who would lock a compost box? You see,
Yeah.
no one's ever locked the compost box. But this stuff is so valuable, you need to lock it up.
Mm,
Oh,
Right.
definitely.
Anyway, so that's the thing. And it becomes so valuable. So the Chinese were feeding masses of people, the mass population, with this system. Now the Chinese had famines later. People died in their thousands because they haven't got this system. That book that goes on to describe the best and worst systems in China. Well, Howard's analysis of that book and King's book, which we discussed, 1926, discovered that the Chinese had the best and the worst systems. So, you know, this is what's happened. Through time, the knowledge gets lost, you see. So we have to revive it. That's why books are always good. Prabhupada said, write books. So we're writing books, right? And it's also going to be available as an online book for the time being, right? So there you go. So I can't show you the slides of the grass that we can grow because I can't get it to come up. So we'll have to do that another time.
Yes.
Yeah.
But if you throw the material, you see on the left side now, that's what we call HH4, when it's the finished product in its maturity. It's a finely divided material. You can broadcast it by hand. You see Indian farmers doing this. They broadcast stuff by hand. Well, you broadcast it by hand onto your grassland.
Yeah.
Onto the
That's all you've got to
grass.
do. So it's very small amount. In fact, we reckon 1 ton will do a hectare.
It's like a powder, isn't it? You just chuck it all over.
It's very,
I saw that.
very small quantity. So you do that and you get the grass growing up, and then you cut the grass. This is the whole system. You cut the grass from above the clover to restrict the other grasses growing. Then the clover comes up, and we had clover 5 inches high in the photographs I wanted to show you, which we'll show you another time. And it's automatic. I mean, really, it's really automatic. So we on the right side of that picture, we broadcasted the we laid it on thicker for vegetable growing like that, and then we broadcast seeds onto it, right? And they just grew. And there's a picture, I think the next picture in this one might show that. Boom. Here we are. There's peas growing. That's peas growing. And there, you just broadcast the seed onto that land by hand. There's different, in the front of that picture, there's 3 different types of crop. There's
lettuces?
I forget the name of it. It's different green crops, edible, all
Yeah.
edible crops.
Yes.
But it's just
Oh,
broadcast.
it looks so beautiful.
Yeah, and you
I
just
look so
harvest it, and
happy.
it goes on all summer long. You know, goes on all summer long. So
So you
it's
just
an
throw
incredible-
the seed on top.
Yeah, you just broadcast it. You might throw a bit of compost on top of that, but it'll just grow. So look at the field behind, over the hedge. That is the neighbor's field, which was 100-acre field, right? No trees, no hedgerows, no animals, no birds, nothing, just chemical farming. And that's a great example because they had crop failures in that field. If one
Sad.
crop fails due to certain weather conditions or whatever goes wrong, if you do this conservation farming, you're going to have a success somewhere. You see, you'll always get a success somewhere. And with the compost system that we do, we seem to get success all the time.
Mm.
We've never really had a failure of any crop because it's so conducive to crop growth. And
Look at
these are
that.
lettuces. I mean, the crops grow so fast, you hardly have time to weed around them. But it doesn't seem to matter because as long as you don't let the weeds seed, then you don't get the weeds proliferating. So in your vegetable patch, that's what you do. And we have a wheel hoe which comes along and you do it in rows, and it's much quicker doing it in rows. That's on the website, the wheel hoe thing. Like that. So this is going down to Bergerac region in France, where we took the system to the Buddhists, because the Buddhists phoned us up and said, we want your system. I said, oh yeah. So they ordered it and we sent it down there. Then I flew down to give them a course, right? And they all paid for that. And I said to them, how did you hear about us? And they said, oh, one of our investors told us. And I said, who's that? They said it's the newspaper chain in New York, right? Big newspaper in America. They must have been in the Buddhist tradition and they wanted it on their farm. So we took it down there and set it up, and we got down there and the Buddhists all loved it. They all appeared for the course and they started making this stuff and they really, really liked it. And because they saw it as a meditation, which it indeed is. It indeed is. And we just set up the first system to demonstrate them putting the system together, making the first charge, if you like, the first box. And they loved it. They absolutely loved it. The head Buddhist was actually a Londoner who'd gone down there. Yeah. So, and then you make beds like along contour. So on the hill in Pontypridd, it's quite a sloping farm, right, where we are. And so we're doing beds along the contour, you see, along the contour like that. So the water flows down the hill across the bed. All right. In some books in Africa, I found this in Mozambique, they're drawn pictures of beds going up the contour. Well, that isn't correct, because if it rains voluminously, it just washes down the hill of the bed and takes all the soil away. You see, so you go across the hill, across the contour, and then the water filters underneath more, because you've got drainage beds at the side. You see the little drainage channels? And that holds the water, and then it goes to the next. That's like a mini swale, if you like. See, in permaculture, they call it a swale, and it goes down the hill like that. So that's a very good system. And then you get from your compost in your, what you saw in the box earlier, those sporophores coming up. There's the same thing in the soil. Now that's evidence that you're transferring those fungi from the box to grow in the soil. Now that's the system, and that's called the mycorrhiza fungi, right? And these are the sporophores from that system. And Rodale Institute confirmed this, where the farm manager had been there 25 years. He said, yes. He said, Jeff Moyer, he said, if you plow, you will destroy the mycorrhiza fungi structure in the soil, which is naturally there. It may not be very developed, but it's naturally there in soil. But if you plow it, you kill it. And it takes 3 years.
What about digging?
Huh?
What about digging? Does digging destroy it?
Yeah. If you disturb the soil, you kill the fungi. You're breaking up all the strands. You see, so you don't need to dig your garden over. You don't need to dig anything. Obviously, you dig to put a tree in because it needs a hole to go in, but that's not digging.
Yeah.
that's digging a hole for a tree. Oh, and you dig out perennial weeds. Yeah, that's to get rid of the odd weed before they get.
Mhm.
So periodically, you can go to your field and dig out a dockweed. You see, you dig it out by its root, get the tap root right out, and then you chop it up on the system that we have, and you put it in the compost, and you get all the nutrition from that dockweed back into your soil. That is the thing about weeds, and I call it weed farming rather than weeding. It's weed farming. If you've got weeds are great. Yes, weed harvesting. They're in the borders of the field. They're along all the roadsides, the railway sidings. Everywhere you look, there's weeds in a temperate zone, right? So they're all fertilizer. All you got, I go out and I pick up the mowings off the lawns outside my house because the council come and mow the grass every now and again and just leave it. So I rake it up and take it up the farm. So it saves me doing it. So
when we collect weed, in the box, it will kill the seeds.
Yes. Oh yeah, you can put in.
It will cook it.
Yes, because 65 degrees will kill weed seeds.
Okay. Yeah.
That's why last summer we composted waiting. We had no farm for 2 years. We were here for 2 years. And last year we did a program of composting Japanese knotweed, right? Which is Wales's most feared plant, right? And they say in America, the dockweed is the farmer's worst enemy. I've seen that on a website because it can proliferate if you plow and you'll cover your field in docks. And, you know, it's toxic to cows. It's toxic if they have to eat that. So then the only solution is what? Either you know about mulching or else you spray it with chemicals.
Dockstar, yeah.
Get rid of it. That's the only way you can do it. So you take the waste and you take it to your compost factory. It's like a hobby. You take it. When we go to the beach, we have a beach near here. We didn't know when we came here from London that 20 minutes the other way is the most amazing beaches in Wales, with the Linfrey River, which runs through our village, goes down to the sea, and there's a lovely beach there and an ancient castle and stepping stones from 1500, and it's a lovely day out. Horses are there, horse stable and everything. So we pick up manure while we're there. We pick up seaweed while we're there, and we bring it back to the farm. So it's like a hobby. So you actually don't have to do all this extra work. People say, oh, it's labor intensive. You've got to go get all these things. Well, you do them as you go. You do them as you go. The council are always digging up something. You can hear the man now outside digging up something, right? Well, they're often digging up soil from different places, right? And a chap has come round and he's scraping the pavements at the edge where the grass grows. Yeah. In Wales, it rains a lot, so you get a lot of weeds growing along the edge of pavements. And by the time the chap spent 2 hours doing that, you've got a great bag full of weeds, right? So I say, oh, can I have them? And I goes, yeah, sure. And I pop up with a bag and I put them all in the bag and take them away. So that's the way you can do it very easily. And I've got customers actually who are coming to this meeting who want to do that. They want to service their little community in Hay-on-Wye, actually, these guys are coming from. And they just want to service their community. They've got a tiny garden, but they've cleared away their old bins and they're putting in the two HH2s. And they say the main problem is they grow grapes. She's got a very good harvest of grapes. And she puts the grape waste into the compost and all the wasps come and the wasp nests form in there. So they want a system that stops that. So our system will stop that. So they're very happy with that. That's why they're buying it.
It's going to stop rodents.
They want to make the compost just for the neighbors. You know, it's not a commercial operation, but it can be. You see, on my slideshow that would have been today would have shown the bagging system, how you bag it up and sell it to the visitors to your site, your temple visitors as well. Every temple could do this. They all have waste, right? they could bag it up in this way after 90 days and sell it to their visitors. It's a very Krishna conscious thing to do. You see, it engages people. And one of our senior sannyasis, godbrother of mine, said to me, I spoke to him on the phone cut off after about one sentence. And I said to him, do you know, we've got a way of keeping people in this movement. And he goes, oh, that would be a thing. And then the phone went dead. And I had no more communication with him while he was in the country. But this is how you do it. This is the system. It's called, you know, Vedic agriculture. You engage people, right, to be engaged in the service of Krishna. Sanctity haritoshanam. Everyone is happy. Krishna is happy. The devotees are happy. They're away from Maya. And they're fully engaged. If we've got to be fully engaged. That's the only way to stay in this movement, right? So we build chanting booths on the farm. I really wanted to show you these. So we'll have to do another one where it's got all
Yeah,
these
we'll have to get
inside.
it. Yeah.
Chanting booths, which double as a greenhouse, because you don't need glass. You don't need all this glass for a greenhouse to grow seed. You don't need it. That's just a commercial venture. But we've got one system. It's very cheap to build, and you just put it anywhere facing south, and you get the sun, or facing north in your case, and it comes by, and the seeds all germinate, and they're in rows in the front of the window, and you have all these things germinating, and you sit in there, and you've got your little chair, and you've got a little burner, which is a mini dustbin this big, a mini dustbin with a pipe on it, and you burn waste materials to keep warm in the winter. So you can chant your rounds very effectively away from all the disturbances, and it's a very good way to perfect chanting. You have a little place to go. I call them a chanting booth, right?
Mm. Actually, we're getting a greenhouse delivered tomorrow.
A small greenhouse.
Yeah, we have a small greenhouse being delivered tomorrow.
It's great. It's really a good thing to have, and you can put them all over the farm. So that's nice. A Bhajan Kutir, it's what it was called in India, right? Bhajan Kutir, same thing. So you have this, and it's all insulated, so it's very warm, and insulation is more important for plant germination. The warmth is more important than so much light, right? You don't need so much light, a total greenhouse glass. It's the warmth. So we've even put the plants, when they go from these trays, which hang in the window, these are gutters, actually, you hang them, you put them into trays, and then the trays then can go into the hot box on top of all the compost, right?
Really?
Yes, and then you shut the lid at night, so they've got dark, which is normal, and it keeps the heat in. And in the day, you can open the lid. It's so hot at the right time during the 2 weeks that it's in there. You've got a boost of warmth, which really races the plants on, and then you're ahead of the game. And if you plant at the right time, according to all the books, with heated soil, which is heated by compost or other materials that we use to warm the soil, you end up with massive pictures, massive crops of vegetables. So it's about warmth and light and moisture. And yeah, what else have we got? Where's my pictures? Can't get them back up. Here we go.
Let's pull them up.
Nope. You're doing it. I can't do it. Right. So, and there, you see now, then when you get this going, your vegetables will have not a mark on them, right? No bugs.
Amazing.
Nothing. And no nets, no sprays, right? No comfrey spray, no nettle spray at this stage. Nothing needed.
They look so healthy.
You can just go away, come back, and then the vegetables will be there. Right?
The problem that I face in the garden is the white butterfly.
Yeah. Or the
And they just
butterfly.
eat the poor cabbage.
That's what I was going to
And there's a
explain
green
last time.
worm.
I didn't
Yeah.
explain that last time. Yeah, the slugs and snails are stopped by the nematodes that are created in your system because you followed the pattern of the operator's manual, how to make the compost. Nematodes are then breeding in your soil. Now they destroy the reproductive system of the slug and the snail, right? So when I was at the Oxford Farming Conference one year, I was describing this, and a lady said to me, well, there must be dead slugs everywhere, all over your... I said, no, there's no dead slugs at all. She said, well, where do they go? Well, what's happened? I said, they go the other way. They can sense it's in the soil and they stay away from your crops. How about that for a natural arrangement?
Wow.
That's why we call our book, published by Brahma Publications. It's all coming from Lord Brahma. He set these systems up when he created the universe. So, all right, now going on to the caterpillar. The caterpillar is a different thing because it's not something that comes from the soil, right? It comes from a butterfly landing on your cabbages and brassicas, laying eggs, right? Well, this is about protein. Howard describes it. It's all in this book. This book is the most amazing one to read that tells you about plants and disease, right? Farming and gardening for health or disease. Now he describes in there that it's the protein in the soil that gives the protein to the plant, and if the protein is high, then the butterfly will not land on your brassicas. How about that? Nobody seems to know this. Nobody seems to know this. I got invited to do my lecture at the Coventry University on the strength of that, when the now Minister of Power for Nigeria came to our farm. At the time, was in Well End, near the manor, and he came to the garden I was managing in a place called where they do all the films for the studios in Elstree Studios, High Cannons Park, High Cannons. We were in there. I was the head gardener in a wall garden, and he came and sat in that wall garden on a Sunday morning, and we watched the butterflies fly over the wall, come down and go round all the plants like this, looking at them, and they didn't land on the plants. They went back over the wall. He was amazed. So he said, yeah, you've got to come and do this Howard Memorial Lecture at Coventry University. And we did it, and we sent it to the now King Charles. And he wrote me a very nice letter thanking me for doing that at the time, because he didn't do one that year. So this science is all about Howard's work, and he was a great holistic scientist because he considered everything together, not just one thing. Like modern science is blinkered science. It looks at one thing in great detail, right? But it doesn't look at anything outside of that. So it's called reductionist science. And it doesn't have the answers. It doesn't, well, they haven't got the answers. So we could say reductionist science doesn't work. It's not as effective as holistic science. So that's nice. And that's our Vedic agriculture. It's an holistic science. So let's move on.
Beautiful.
Right. So people love it. It's a social thing. You can set it up on any community you have, and it's a center for talk and learning. And it's wonderful, because how can you do it? How can you do this in a reliable, consistent way? The box is the answer. If you do it in open heat, like Howard did, well, you got far more problems with flooding from the water, which his pits flooded when they had torrential rain in the monsoon. And can you imagine it took months to dry out? And and it was a disaster. He had sanitation carts coming from the villages to the compost factory, and they got stuck in the mud and they overturned. I've seen pictures of this, and he was trying to do the sanitation for the village by taking away liquid and solid together in these carts. And can you imagine, they got stuck and turned over. It's a complete disaster. So
Yeah.
what has happened later is that it's source separated. You see, you separate the liquid from the solid in the toilet, you transport it, and it's much, much more efficient, much safer. And it's the Vedic thing. You see, he finally discovered that that's what they must have been doing. So this is it. And you shall not throw into water blood, pus, stool, or urine. So that's Vedic. That's coming from the Manusmriti, a commentary on the Manusmrita. So you don't throw it in water. It doesn't. It's not a Vedic way of doing it. So it's dry. So the box is dry. The toilet is added as an incidental addition. It's in a bag. It's in a bioliner made of cornstarch. So it just gets tipped into the box. You don't see or smell anything. I did it on a permaculture course. I had 3 or 4 buckets on the ground lined up, one with bean haulm, and like this, and some straw like this. And I tipped them all in, and then we went away. And I said, "Oh yes, I forgot to show you." They said, once some person said, "What about the toilet? You were going to show us how you deal with toilet waste." And I said, "Yeah, it was a 3rd bucket along, because it was a bag. They didn't know what it was."
Oh wow. It's like that old palm olive ad, where, have you seen it back in the day? The lady's in the nail salon and she's getting her nails done. The lady puts her hand in something that's soaking there, and she's like, "Oh, have you heard about this new palm olive dishwashing liquid? It softens your hands while you do dishes." And the other lady's like, "Oh, that sounds amazing. Can you show it to me?" And she's like, "You're soaking in it." Like she's using it to do the manicure, So it's kind of like that. It's like, they're like, "Can you show us how to do the toilet waste?" And you're like, "You're doing it." And they don't even know, right? It's so...
I wanted to make a video. We're going to make videos now, podcasts, right? I've even ordered this thing, the microphone on the thing, so you can do podcasts. And I'm going to do a film where you put on the white gloves for a dinner party, when you dress up and all that. Well, we don't do that, but you do this, and you do a bit of composting, right? And you got your white gloves on, and you tip the bucket in, and then you put a bit more covering over it with straw from the other stuff and the weeds, and you shut the lid, right? I'll do this with the new HH2 with the lid. It shuts down like this. And then you go, and then the car hoots, and the wife goes, "Come on, Jill, we'll be late." And you turn the camera, and there's a big roller sitting there, and you jump in. When you got your little gloves on, you take your gloves off, and you get in the car, and you drive off in your dinner suit. That's how sattvic this system is. Now, Jai Pataka Maharaj loved it. He named our prototype Sattvic in Mayapur. Right? So this is how it got that name. It was called the Sattvic indoor toilet, which was a good pun, because the indoor system was what Howard did, because it was in a place called Indore, IONDORE. So we called it in our first book, in this book, the Sattvic indoor toilet. But now it's, of course, developed into a modern, pleasing looking a piece of equipment that people are ordering left, right, and center, because they realize they shouldn't give it to the water companies to throw in the rivers.
Yes.
Least of all our farms. We should not be doing this, because we are contributing to this pollution. So next slide.
In our town, we have a huge lake of human waste.
In your town?
Yeah.
Oh dear. Yes.
I know.
Problem. So what do they do? What do they do with it? They had that at Mayapur when we first went in '76. We were talking about this the other time. They had sewage ponds, you see, which kind of purify somehow, it filters to another pond or whatever. But mosquitoes can breed on that.
Mm.
And that's why there's so much problems with mosquitoes. Now, when I got to Uganda, there was a similar system on a small scale. And immediately I drained the ponds, capped off the toilets, which were twin pit system, you know, two pits. It's called the Vietnamese pit latrine system. You use one pit, and when that fills up, it soaks out to the pond, and then you use the other one. You see, like that. That's the twin pit system. But we capped it all off and put our dry toilet on top. So boom, you don't need any pipes and you don't need any ponds at all. You simply you cover it with the finished compost. That is your flush. It's absolutely brilliant because it's full of the microorganisms that start digesting that waste right away in the toilet. So before you've even got it out of the toilet, it's composting right there. That's
So
why
instead of using
you're allowed to
sawdust, you use
transport it.
compost.
Huh?
So instead of using sawdust, you use compost.
Yes, that was Joe Jenkins' thing, sawdust. It takes 2 to 3 years to decompose. Ours is ready in the shops in 90 days. And how did I discover that? Because I couldn't find any sawdust. Where in Africa are you going to find sawdust? They shouldn't be cutting down so many trees. Okay, you get
Right.
sawmills making furniture. But anyway, so we use this stuff and it works so fast.
Great.
And it absorbs all
Yeah.
the smell because it's dehydrated, right? You put it in a dehydrated state with a nice little scoop, boom, 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 and it starts absorbing everything. And that's why people like this system, because it's so clean and you don't need vent pipes, you don't need a solar hookup, there's no electrical fans.
I love it.
It's so Vedic. It's so Vedic. So we could all be doing this. And then you put it on the land, like in this picture, after it's come out of the wheelie bin. After the last month, it's in a wheelie bin. You just spread it on the land, and that's all you do. That's all you do. You don't even have to roll it in. You don't have to disc it in. You don't have to dig it in. I've had people have the compost and start digging it in. You don't need to dig it in. Just leave it on the surface because the worms naturally come up and find the food. That's what worms do, right? They take leaf litter down into the soil. That's what worms do. So if you start disturbing that structure, you're messing up the whole, ecosystem of the soil. So it's so simple. It's so simple. It's beyond modern agriculture. And that's why they can't get it. But because everything's designed for machinery and technology and, that's what they want to sell. But basically, we don't need any of that.
Yeah, I have a question.
Yes,
With the composting toilet, they have the urinals separate and the solids. So some people, what they do is just take the urinal away and they mix it with water, and then they spray the grass or whatever. So what would you recommend with the urinal to be done?
Yeah, you can do that. I mean, in Haiti, we did that with banana trees. There's a video of it. If you've seen our film, Haiti Film 2, have you seen that yet?
No.
I don't think so.
You've got to get that one. That's on
Is it on YouTube?
Media section somewhere. You can find it. See, it links to the other website where all the media is. And it's called Haiti Film 2. And if you watch that, you'll see we're diluting the urine with 16 to 1 and or whatever, 20 to 1, and you feed banana trees. That's an accepted fact. That's a standard thing because urine in itself is sterile. And you can use it like that. But we found with the compost factory, there's so much compost, you just don't need to bother to do that. You just put the compost out, which is purified, and everything just grows at an alarming rate.
How do I find this on the website, Prabhu?
If I go to my page here,
ggi.org.uk.
Yeah, that's the one, and I might well see it.
Or maybe in about?
Nope.
Nope. Okay. Look at that beauty.
Somewhere you see there's a link to the other website.
What's the other
But in
website?
any case, it's in there somewhere. But what I'll do is I'll tell you the link now. The link is the name of the website, which is www.suaglon. Okay, that stands for, its initials for Sustainable Agriculture London. So it's spelled SU AGLON.
Yep.
.co.uk. That's it. Now, once you've got that website, you go down
happiness.
To media, go to media. You see in the middle, there's media.
Yeah.
Right. Now, there is all the films. Go down from the pictures of Bill Gates. And there, you get the films under there. Right. Now you can see it. Can you see that?
I can, yeah.
Right. Go down and you see there's one there. They're all good films, but there's one called Haiti Film 2, Films on the Application of Howard's Work as a Total Waste Recycling System. Do you see Haiti Film 2?
Yep.
Right. Enter the password YNOS, which is Sony backwards.
Right.
Right. That's because Sony commandeered the whole thing and said, you can't use this footage because you're using a Bob Dylan soundtrack, because we own Bob Dylan's music and we're going to charge you $45 a day forever. If you want to make this global. It would have gone viral in 2010 if we hadn't used a copyrighted soundtrack.
Yeah.
Another twist of Maya.
What a bummer.
Oh dear, we've had so many things like this. But if you watch that film and you could play that on this podcast, that would be
Sony
brilliant.
could sue us out of existence.
Is it?
Yeah, we'll get a takedown from Sony on YouTube.
The film's still there, right?
It's still here, yeah.
Yeah. Can you not play that on this podcast?
No, not if it's got a Bob Dylan soundtrack, yeah.
Oh, you can't do that. Of course, now, same thing.
Yeah, same problem.
Yeah, same thing. They'll be after it. Their computer will source, will stop it and shut everything
immediately.
Down.
Yeah.
And I can't change the soundtrack because, of course, it's a long time ago. And
you've lost the original files.
Yeah. So, but you can give that link to everybody on your podcast and they can watch it themselves, which is not considered, viral.
Exactly.
So that's a good one. Yeah, and they loved it. That film I love watching that film because it's got all these people from the different groups in Haiti that came to our site. And Professor Reed, who was flown in by DFID, Department for International Development in the UK, to do an appraisal of the sanitation disaster in the Port-au-Prince city after the earthquake. And he came to our farm. He turned up at our farm. And the film starts with me introducing ourselves by saying, Dr. Reed, I presume, like Livingston, in Africa. Anyway, we did that in geography. When Livingston met somebody, that's what he said. He hadn't seen him for years. He met him in the jungle. He said, Dr. Livingston, I presume.
Yes. What book was
Anyway.
that in? That was in
So there he is. Oh, you've got him. Ah, you're putting it on.
yeah.
Without
Do you
sound,
think
though.
Sony's
No
going to
sound.
find out?
Well, there's no sound.
No sound. No sound.
So that's you there. We're in the cap.
Oh, yeah. If you do it without sound, Sony can't identify the soundtrack.
Exactly.
Hey, very well thought out. Never thought of that. So there we are doing it in Haiti 2 weeks after the earthquake.
Right.
And
How'd you end up in Haiti 2 weeks after the earthquake?
yeah, when we got there were collapsed buildings. The smell was terrible. And we even had a photograph, how you say, USB stick given to us by a journalist. And he said, I see what you're going to do for this work. I want to give you this. I've got to leave Haiti now, but I want to give you this USB of the earthquake. And when he got there were shop fronts. Whole concrete buildings collapsed. People in a queue and arms sticking out of the concrete with watches on.
Oh,
Wow.
You cannot watch that film without bringing tears to your eyes. There were people running in crowds, screaming up the street, screaming in fear and desperation to get away from these buildings. It's absolutely, I can't even watch it myself. I've still got it. Anyway, Howard, this is Reed. So Reed loved this, and he's saying, yeah, you put the urine into the soil. And he's saying, yeah, and I used to do that at home, he says, and it makes the soil so soft, right? Reed is an expert on soil. He's from Loughborough University, and I'd met him 10 years before with the same book, and he loved it. And he turned up at our Haiti site. What an arrangement.
Wow.
What an arrangement. And he loved it. And Joe Jenkins came to that site as well, the humanure author, and he opened these heaps with a right angle spade, and you'll see him. He's in the film, and he couldn't find any stool. We put in the guys there doing the whole system. They put in buckets of stool, and it was gone in 2 weeks.
Wow.
Gone in 2 weeks. Joe Jenkins could not believe it that this was the case. It's because
Incredible.
we saw separated, see, liquid from solid. That's the secret. So Reed is taking notes. Professor Reed is taking notes of our system. And we awarded these two guys, the guy on my left and another guy who were there. They used to work in a bank or whatever. Their banks had all been smashed and they had no job. So we gave them a certificate for managing this site, and they got us awarded a certificate of competence, which has led since to them getting a job in other fields in agriculture.
Great.
Amazing.
So how about that for a short visit, really, a short visit to Haiti. We were there, I think it was 6 weeks or something.
Incredible. The bananas look very happy.
Yeah, well, this particular garden was in a convent, and we'd had Devotee's mother had founded this convent, and we came across the border because we landed in the other country, the next country, because all the airport was closed and the docks closed in Haiti. So we came from the other country, the Dominican Republic, by security protected convoy, right? Because everything was out of order. Everything was not safe. There was no law. And they gave us this convent to stay in, which was virtually empty. And we were there in their garden, and it was surrounded with a wall. And the campers, I say campers, the refugees hadn't got into their compound, but they were right outside the compound. And so we went outside the compound on this video to show how we'd installed the toilet. This is coming up. This is turning into a very interesting podcast with a running commentary all these years later. So before we had the boxes, we'd cover the heaps with this tarpaulin, little air vents, right? And it worked fine. But of course, you're putting in cooked food and all that, so it attracts rats. and all this.
yeah.
And the Vedic system was that you had dogs to control the rats, you see. But in the modern day, you can't have that thing. You can't have that going on because it's not.
Unreal. So you're rolling with your book of the
Yeah.
that's your
2010.
Howard
2010.
the lost science of organic cultivation.
It's like Krishna. When you find a good thing, you have to tell others. Yeah.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
can't
Definitely.
not tell others.
Mm.
Wow.
So these are all guys. The guy from DFID is there, the representative. The AOM, which is a French group, I believe. They're there. And I'm explaining all this. And it goes on a bit later to show us, we'll go walk over to the toilets where we put in these toilet housings. Because they'd brought in these portaloos, you know, the Western portaloos,
The
and
chemical
dumped them
ones,
across
yeah.
the site. And everyone said, they smell, we don't want those.
Yeah, they stink.
Mm.
Yeah. So we've replaced them with these units that we built. And Reed's inspecting it. See, it's above the ground. See, it's not below the ground. It's not a hole in the ground. You see?
How did you achieve separation of urine and stool here?
You'll see. We developed here the first urine separator because Oxfam did not have one. And it was developed here. You'll see in a sec. He's testing the frame, the structure of what I made. That's a foot plate which you squat on, right? Indian style.
Yep.
That's like Indian style toilet. So he's testing it to see, is this robust? Is this serious? Yeah.
Mm.
And there's the refugees behind us who were camping all over the hill. They'd come up from the city of Port-au-Prince because all the buildings and the survivors had come up onto the hill and were just camping, had tents. They were anywhere. People were sleeping in the open.
Mm.
There. This is it. The Organisation Internationale, you know, whatever.
Yeah, United Nations International Organization for Migrations, it looked like.
That's it. You got it. You got it. They all turned up. They all turned up. And it was an amazing day that at 8 o'clock, we didn't know they were coming, you know. And that's International Red Cross, that lady in black, that's International Red Cross, ICRC. And this is where the soundtrack comes in, you see. It's beautiful. You've got to watch this video because it's we made it on the roof of a collapsed building. Their studio was still there, like this. And we were all in there making this film, editing it right there. We built all these toilets. You see, we'd built these toilets. Me and Gore Parouche, we'd built them. And this was the guy from Cornell University who was in the crowd. And they loved it. And they really thought it was good, you know?
Yeah, definitely. And especially during these times, you know, when the people are all over the place. Sanitation is the thing that we need during those days. So
well, we can teach this because,
toilet.
Yeah, I mean, refugee camps, can you imagine? I mean, they're just terrible without this because they can then grow their own food in 90 days with the compost and have something to eat that they've done. So put that link up for that video and they can watch it themselves. Everyone can watch.
What about Haiti Film 3? What's that one about?
Well, that's meeting a lady who had a farm. It's a nice film up the mountain. And she'd come to our site and she said, you must come and visit us. So we went up with one lady who was a nurse who took us up there. And she was very nice and she got us introduced and we did a talk with her. But she came to our site to film it. That was it.
Okay.
Now, her father on the left, I think it was her father who introduced staircase agriculture to Haiti. You know, on the hills,
Yep.
staircase. Yeah.
Okay, so this one's mostly like a conversation.
Oh, yeah. Well, no, you see, this one has got a soundtrack from Enya.
Oh,
You know, so that's
Oh.
another one. But I don't know. Enya didn't. Their people didn't take the thing down because of that music. So you could play that because it's not Bob Dylan,
okay.
and it comes in, and it's this track called "Paint the Sky with Stars."
First, so it would be either straw or dry leaves. Then you've got some cellulose, green leaves.
Yes, it's always about mixing
Yeah, and vegetable waste.
vegetable waste and
Where's,
human waste.
It's Rodrigo here. Rodrigo hasn't arrived. We want Rodrigo on the new site because he's organizing source separation. And the source separation is very important because you can separate your vegetable waste into a separate container than all the other waste of cardboard, paper. Yeah, because you need a layer of vegetable waste to activate and react with the sewage waste. It works very, very well. And then you put your earth, which is had urine applied, so it's high nitrogen earth, and then cardboard again on top, which attracts fungus. The fungus spreads very quickly.
It's very interesting, Prabhu, because there's like, you're talking about holistic science, and there's two problems that are being solved here. And that's about like composting, you know, chemical fertilizers and pesticides on the one side. But as someone who has, you know, moved onto the land with no modern plumbing there, your other problem is the human waste issue. And those
It's one
are
of the
treated as
biggest
two
issues.
separate problems.
Yeah, definitely. They're the two biggest. That's why everyone says it's so difficult to go farming.
Yeah.
It's actually not difficult when you do all this. It becomes a pleasure. And it's a preaching tool. That's the greatest preaching tool because Rameshwara Prabhu,
Yep.
he quoted Prabhupada, and he says on the video quite recently, they're going to come to our farm in thousands. So are we ready?
Yep.
I'm asking ISKCON, are we ready? Because we need to be ready. This is the biggest preaching opportunity in Kali Yuga so far.
Yeah, it's happening. I mean, we're getting deindustrialized, whether you like it or not. It's like, you know, climate change, you know, resource exhaustion, none of that stuff has to be real. The only thing that needs to be real is that people are saying that it's real, and they're making policies now that are going to basically cause like an energy collapse, you know, restricting the amount of energy that people have access to.
Oh yeah, these electric cars are going to mess up because they cannot produce the batteries fast enough to get everybody going electric. And they're saying by 2030, they're going to ban diesel cars and petrol cars. It's all going to collapse because they can't manage it, right? They can't manage it. And the sewage system's already collapsed because it's going into the rivers and seas.
Yeah.
It's already a disaster. So we have to see it like that. It's already collapsing. So these communities are why people will want to go there, because they'll be free from pollution. They'll have plenty of food. They won't have run out of food. And their health will be improved. They won't be so many chronic diseases, chronic illness.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there we are. How long have we been going now?
We've been going for an hour and 45 minutes.
Yeah.
Well,
there
we're a
you
little
go.
bit over our 45-minute target.
Yeah.
It's so
I'm sorry
enjoyable
about
though
the
talking
beginning.
about this.
That's okay. Next time we'll get it set up. We'll definitely get that slideshow set up ahead of time. Test it out.
Yeah. Once I get the system of putting the slides I've got onto the button that says present, I can do it. Once I've mastered that, you can tell me.
Yeah.
Good.
Figure that out.
Lovely.
Okay. Thank you so much, Prabhu. We'll look forward to doing the next one. We'll schedule the next one in, and we'll come back and we'll do the dialed in presentation on the grassland management.
Yeah.
Amazing. Looking forward to it.
Okay, great.
you.
Nice to see you.
Have a
Hare
great day, Prabhu. Hare
Hari
Krishna.
Bol. All
Enjoy
glories
your
to
day.
Srila
Thank you, Prabhu.
Prabhupada.
Jai
Hare
Shri
Jai.
Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna.
Okay. Love it.
Hare Bol. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, we just need to find a way. Oh, the box. I didn't ask.
About the box.
It's just like a New Zealand box that was made in New Zealand.
Yeah, the New Zealand compost box. That's
Yeah.
covered in the other book. Yeah.
Was it made in New Zealand?
It was invented in New Zealand. It's a section in the book by Albert Howard. Let me pull it up.
Mm-hmm.
Howard. Albert Howard, An Agricultural Testament. It's either that one or The Soil and Its Health is the book.
Mhm.
So let me open the Mobi, I guess. I think I can share it. Let me do this. So I stop the screen and then present this other screen.
Can you remove this?
Window. Share.
Okay.
Here it is. The book.
Yeah, it would be nice to get in touch with them whether they're still doing that, you know?
Let me take this banner off the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
Hide. There we go. A study of organic agriculture. Okay. So it's the system, industrialism, the profit. See, this part here I read through. I read this beginning of the book, right?
Mm-hmm.
The operations of nature, systems of agriculture, primitive forms, harvest, the harnessing of the Nile, so Egypt,
Mm-hmm.
and then agriculture, China, Greece, Rome, Middle Ages. Then it goes into Great Britain, Roman occupation, Saxon open field, depreciation, low yield of wheat, Black Death, enclosure, Industrial Revolution, Great Depression, Second World War, and then the industrialization from the Second World War.
Mm.
Intrusion of science, disease of crops. Here we go. So you got like the indoor process. You know, he said the indoor toilet, and Indore is this place in India.
Mm-hmm.
If you Google it, you'll find Indore, the cleanest city in India, it's called.
Indoor.
Yeah. And its reception by the farming and gardening world, some practical points, the New Zealand compost box.
We can go there and see.
And then here, the spread of the indoor process in the farming and plantation worlds. Now remember, this is colonial Britain. So you got South Africa, Rhodesia, Malaya, India, New Zealand, Great Britain, and the United States of America.
Mm.
So let's have a look at this New Zealand compost box. The rapid spread of the indoor process in temperate countries with a well-distributed rainfall has drawn attention to the advantage of providing adequate shelter for the small compost heap. The large heap will always protect itself because the ratio of the amount of surface to the total volume is low, and the mere size of the heap prevents any fall in temperature by the cooling effects of wind and rain. But a small heap is all outsides, so to speak, and is easily cooled. The fermenting mass, therefore, needs some protection. A simple method of providing this comes from New Zealand, where a compost box is now in use, which is finding favor among the urban gardeners and allotment holders of this country.
I wonder.
The best results are obtained with a pair of these New Zealand boxes side by side, the purpose of the second box being for ripening the compost. So the HH2 system is the New Zealand compost box.
But what I want to know is whether they still do that.
Whether they still do it?
Yeah.
Let's have a look then, eh? To find out. So stop this screen. Share another screen. Share this other one. This one here.
No.
So the New Zealand compost box.
Most of them we see is like a wooden or plastic.
Composting NZ.
Mm-hmm. So it's all that.
Okay, that's selling the compost. How to build a New Zealand compost box. Quick Crop UK. Okay. It's almost like it's been forgotten
Yeah.
in New Zealand.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, compost bins at the warehouse, compost bins at Bunnings.
Yeah, but there's plastic.
Aero bin, 400 litre static compost bin. Let's have a look at this. 400 litre compost bin. Wonder what's the capacity of the HH2? I forgot to ask that because it's 250 litres into a wheelie bin, into the big wheelie bin. Look at the size of this one. This is with a person next to it.
Yeah, but in the garden, this is just like a household. So the other one's more industrialized. Okay, vamos.
Vamos where?
Casa.
Oh, yeah, okay. Okay, well, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for our 2 viewers who are still watching us live on YouTube. And thank you to our guest for today, His Grace Radha Krishna Prabhu, Vedic Agriculture on Facebook. Check him out on there. And we'll have him back to talk more about the grassland management, and we're going to get an HH2 system or something exactly the same. We're trying to get an HH2 system, see if we can get some funding for it to get one over here and set it up. And we'll get that going over the summer. And maybe even Fergus Quinn will come over during the summer and help us get it underway. Okay, until the next one, which is going to be on Saturday, Friday, 6 p.m. EST, 3 p.m. Western Pacific time, 10 a.m. Saturday, New Zealand time, 8 a.m. Brisbane time. And that is Tranakarta Prabhu,
Amazing.
the author of the Oh Hare Krishna Airport book, which was like, what a book. Yeah. Okay, until then, and forever, Param Vijayate Sri Krishna Sankirtanam.
Total world victory.
Yeah.
Universal.
Total world victory of Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.